Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is Christmas Eve, December 24th. We're doing the video a day early this week because of the holiday. I'm going to be off tomorrow doing things that a lot of you will be doing as well. And I hope you all have a great Christmas and have a wonderful time with as much of your family or doing whatever you can. I know that there are a lot of limitations out there on what people can do. It's hard to get together with people, but make the most of it. Maybe use your camera to create videos and send them out to people. Make some phone calls tomorrow to those that you can't see, and especially to people who may be stuck home alone tomorrow for the holiday because of where they are and their age or whatever. Really do your best on this one. This is going to be a tough Christmas for a lot of people, and you know, everybody should be thankful for what they've got, regardless. So, but reach out and make the most of the day. We're going to do that. All right. A lot went on this week. It was kind of busy around here as we get things wrapped up. And one of the things I wanted to get into was I mentioned last week that the new Bidamount Live site was about done. We've been doing some additional testing this week. It all seems to be working great. And next week we're going to start making a few recordings on how to use the site, sort of introductory stuff. We'll post them here. And the site will be launched after January 1st. We'll get the videos up on sort of introducing people to it, how it's going to all work. It is very clean, very easy to navigate. We've created some basic pages to get things started on how to use the site. It's very simple. We've worked overtime trying to keep this thing as clean as possible. The delays, by the way, in getting the site launched has been totally my fault. I sort of opted to add, as many of you know, the language element to the site where we could do it in multiple languages, and that is a tough trick to pull. And the WordPress plugin that creates it and allows it has never been integrated with the combination of tools that we've added to the site. So it took a bit of customizing to get it all to function. It works fine. Everything's great. The plugin maker helped us with it, and but it delayed things, and it's my fault. That's all I'm saying. Sorry about that. All right, but there's a series of pages on looking things up. As you know, on the Bidamount site, we have resources to link to things. We've replicated some of them over on here. We brought them over. So if you're doing getting a listing ready, or want to know the date of something you're contemplating buying, you can do it. And we're going to go through all that in a couple of little videos that we'll put together to make things easy, and expect the site to launch sometime probably in the first week of the new year, as we're thinking. We're not going to do it next week because there's still a couple of things I want to do to get people primed for it. But I hope you use it. I hope it's a success. We built this for everybody to use. There's been, as you know, a lot of people are pretty unhappy with the way the things are done on other selling websites. Either the commissions are crazy and sky high and they keep going up and up and up and up every week, or as you know, eBay has pushed in this managed payments thing that basically they now stand between the seller and the customer and take the money in between. It's not good. And we decided to make this site, basically from the suggestions we got, everything that people would want in a selling site. We're going to suggest that people start off by to populate the site and to build traffic, to start with fixed price items, and then we'll start recommending setups. We'll work out something for doing auctions, and it's up to all of you. If you're selling online and you want a platform that treats you well, that doesn't have a lot of rules, that lets you run your own deal, I hope you take part in it for this to be a success, because if it isn't, obviously there's no point in keeping it. But if it works out well and people like it, we'll keep it on there for everybody. As you know, we have no problem with spending money on technology around here. The Bidamount site has an enormous amount of stuff in it. Very complicated website, and this site is sharing now a server with the Bidamount original site, and but it'll of course be a standalone platform as well. But at any rate, that's where that is heading. Okay, now, and I'll give you more information on this next week too. when we get the videos out. The other thing I wanted to mention was that we updated the global member pages a couple of times this week. There was more material came on than I thought there would the week before Christmas. It was kind of surprising, but it may be, of course, because they have sales in January and they want to get the stuff up now because the holiday takes out a week in December and they have sales coming up around the middle of January, the end of January, and they want to give people plenty of time. And a number of good sales have turned up, and I want to get into them. Over on the Live Auctioneers page, for example, we added, as I mentioned last week, it starts on January 23rd, 2021, the Zach sale, Gallery Zach over in Vienna. They have a 3-day sale coming up with quite a bit of a very good Chinese material and a huge amount of great Japanese material. The Japanese market seems to be having a resurgence of interest in it, and I think it's because the quality of a lot of the Japanese art that's been overlooked for so long is just ridiculous, relatively speaking, in quality to some of the Chinese material that brings sky-high prices. People are beginning to recognize that the Japanese did phenomenal work, which they did. I collect a lot of Japanese stuff, Japanese material, and people are starting to buy it. Once again, it's been 15 or 20 years, but if you're a collector of Japanese art, you're already noticing the prices are starting to shift a bit, I think. All right, the other thing I wanted to mention was that Brunks down in Asheville, North Carolina, they have a sale coming up on January 15th. If you've never done business at Brunks, they are a wonderful company. They've been around for a long time. It was started by the dad and the son. One of their sons had worked at Christie's in New York a number of years ago. It went to New York, wicked up, and learned a lot about the auction world in a very good way. At one of the major auction houses, he came back to his family business, and he brought in ideas and policies and ways of doing things the way they do at the larger auction houses. And Brunks today is just a terrific firm to do business with. They're very cooperative, lots of condition reports. I've bought many things from them over the years. Good company. And this is just one of the lots they have in this sale. It's a pair of Femi June garden barrels, late Qing dynasty with dragons on them. Many of you have seen these before, but it's a very handsome pair. I think they have some restorations to them, but the garden barrels often do because they crack so easily. But anyway, they have things like this and other good Chinese objects that they'll be offering. The other thing I wanted to tell you was that last week I had a phone call with somebody who called up, and they were interested they didn't know much about Chinese art at all, other than the values have gone up a lot, and he wanted to know what my thoughts were on investing in Chinese art today. And investing art in general, it got me thinking about investing in art in general, instead of your 401k and so forth. What do I think of it? And what's I began thinking about the differences between collectors and investors, and the sort of dilettante collectors who jump into hot markets the way they do with modern art and other things that become sort of a collecting fad, and then they disappear the minute the fad is over. But anyway, and I wrote a piece on it. It's on the blog, on the Bidamount.com site, and in it, for fun, I included some things that I've owned and that I've bought over the years. Some of you may have seen some of them before in other posts we've done, but these are just a few of the things I've picked up over the years that I've kept just because I love them. I bought them. At the time I bought them to keep them, pretty much, and there's some interesting examples, and I hope you sort of get a look at what I enjoy and so forth. And there's a long bit on collecting and investing and so forth. All right, now over to, let's see here, the Christie's sale. This is the Tibor collection, Chinese American export porcelain for the American and European markets. The Tibor family, a huge collection, famous collection among the China trade crowd. And there are in this sale some absolutely outstanding examples of Chinese export porcelain. And Chinese export porcelain, for some reason, has remained sort of the redheaded stepchild of the domestic Chinese porcelain market. And I don't know why, because the truth be told, the best of the 18th century Chinese export porcelain is as good or better than some of the best of the Chinese imperial porcelain made at that time. because a lot of the Chinese porcelain that was made for the export market were made by kilns, made and produced in the best kilns in Jingdezhen, who also made stuff on order to the imperial palace. One of the things that's sort of interesting is that there was an edict put out, and some of you may know about this. If you don't, I'm going to tell you. There was an edict that was put out basically that said that back in, I think it was the Kangxi period, that if an order placed with the imperial kilns cannot be filled in the time period allowed, the kiln master could force other kilns into helping them complete a large order. So they would go to the best of the best and say, we need this of your best quality, and could you produce 10,000 of these plates or dinner services or whatever. And the amazing part was that they were only paid half their regular rate typically for what they got. It was considered to be an honor to make things for the palace and so forth. But what you ended up with is with a number of very, very good kilns in studios in Jingdezhen producing the same hands that produced imperial porcelain also produced some export porcelain, quite a bit of it. And the export porcelain is a remarkable quality item at its best, certainly on a par with anything else that they ever made. But what's in this sale is a group of Cornelis Pronk porcelains, and it's a very interesting group, and there's some really rare pieces in here. And we're going to take a look at them. One of them, of course, is the doctor's plate. This is the famous Cornelis Pronk done in the 1730s. He only designed plates for the VOC for a few years. This is the doctor attending to the emperor. This is a very, very rare piece of export porcelain. Really interesting. It's a tea caddy, superbly well done. Estimate $2,000 to $3,000. All right, and then there's this. This is one of the rarest of all the plates. This is a plate of the doctor attending to the emperor with fish and so forth going around the outside of it. It is a 10-inch dish. It's beautifully done, absolutely great quality. And this is an online also sale. There it is. And you notice the way they started to put shadows and so forth on the faces, which you don't typically see in Chinese work. Just an absolutely great piece of porcelain. And then on to this, another one of the parasol, the parasol plates with a honeycomb border, which is quite unusual for one of these. This is one of the most popular patterns, of course, was the parasol pattern. And then there was this one of the Chinese man and the woman in the arbor. Beautiful example. And then we get on to another parasol plate, but this is a really great one. This is a Famille Rose fluted rimmed example. It's got a $3,000 to $5,000 estimate, and I absolutely love this dish. This is a great dish. And beautifully done, wonderfully enameled, and around the rim, of course, you have the Buddhist hanging ornaments running around the outside with flowers and beaded objects and so forth, all the way down. An absolutely great piece of Chinese porcelain. And if this was in that quality, in this quality, if this at a Marken period, it was a Marken period plate, it would no doubt be probably a $20,000 or $30,000 dish. But at any rate, that's the sale at Christie's. Check it out. The sale is being conducted in New York. It starts in 14 days. And there's a lot of other good material on there and well worth checking out. Don't be intimidated just because it's Christie's. They'll be happy to hear from you. All right. And if you live in the New York area, absolutely, leave bids there. Just leave bids. I know dealers that do. They just go through there and they carpet bomb they can carpet bomb these live auctions now, these online auctions now with bids, and they get a few things once in a while. Sometimes they get some very good buys. All right, now on to what happened over on the newsletter page last week. It was a pretty good week. It was surprising because we found a number of things to put on there. After I did the video, a bunch of things sort of popped up on our radar, and as I said last week, it's usually quiet at this time of the year. Just to remember, we won't be updating the newsletter page itself probably until Saturday because I'm not going to be working tomorrow, just so you know. But anyway, we'll go through some of the prices and we'll send out the usual email notifications to the people that have signed up for the newsletter. If you click this button and sign up, you can subscribe to it. It's completely free, and you'll get a notice the minute we update the newsletter page each week. And we'll be doing that on Saturday. All right, now let's see here. Some of the things that sold this week. A couple of good things sold this week. This was a very interesting plate. This is well-known. We've talked about these before, these Kangxi fish plates in bowls. There was a bowl, as you recall, a few weeks ago, that I think that sold for about $7,000 or $8,000 on here. This was a fish pattern with sharks Kangxi dish that had a repair to it, apparently, but somebody got a great buy, 285 euros for this. If you're not in the market to spend $7,000 or $8,000 for a pattern or something that you really want to collect, this is a great way to get an example. It had a repair to it, but it went for 5% of the value of a perfect plate. So a 95% discount because it had a restoration to it. That's not a bad thing. I think that's a perfectly sensible way to buy. This was a good-looking dish. The colors on it were excellent. I think sometimes when people see restoration, they lose sight of the artwork. This thing was superbly well painted. It was about 8 inches in diameter and just a really lovely example. All right, and then over to this. This was also a very, very good steel. Qing Dynasty. Femi June inner cavetto with famille rose rim. Nice old dish. Let me see how old this thing is. I'm going to get to the back of it. It looks like, it's an 18th century dish. That was a good buy. Somebody picked it up for 111 euros. Not bad at all. That was a very good buy. And it was a very pretty plate, too. The reason I had to check was that they used that central color palette with that Famille June into the Taijing period as well. So, but the foot rim and the back and everything, to me, and the way the rim is shaped, looked more likely to be late 18th century. All right, now on to this. This was another great buy for the week. A beautiful piece of Kangxi porcelain done in Chinese Ivory enamels with the gold and red and underglazed blue. These beautiful little scallop rim dishes. And for some reason, these things have become very reasonable in the last year, and I don't know why. These used to sell for $300 to $500 a pop pretty easily. And this one just sold for 110 euros. It seemed to be in good shape. It had some minor fritting around the rim. I think somebody got a great buy for that. These are absolutely charming, and they made them in sets. And there are many, many varieties. There are people that collect these. They collect all the different patterns that they came out in. And some of them can be fairly much larger than others. Some of them are 6, 7 inches. This was, let's see, how big was this one? This one's probably smaller. 16 centimeters, about 6 inches, decent size. All right. Anyway, 110 euros. Like I said, always leave a bid. Leave a bid. You never know. Somebody got a great deal. And then there was this. This was very nice. This was that Wanli dragon plate marking period that came up. This was over on Katowiki. It made its reserve. If it had one, I don't remember if it did or not. I suspect it probably did. And it sold for 8,300 euros. But a very nice plate, very nice example. Well done on the back, nicely done foot rim and so forth. They showed some very good details on the decoration. Classic Wanli decoration, but marking period. And when you make a marking period, Wanli porcelain jumps in price. And 8,300 euros or, up around $9,000 or $10,000. That was a nice dish. And then over here to this was this 18th century square, sort of slab constructed export, or they could even be domestic porcelain in this style teapot, but beautifully done. This was a nice little teapot. I like the gilded lotus flower or chrysanthemum on it. I like the tone of this blue. I always love this bluish green. It's very, very, I don't know, it's very cheerful. Very nice, and it has, of course, the feather and flowers up the handle and on the spout. Sold for 400 euros, which I think is pretty reasonable. That's not a bad price to pay for this at all. It's a perfectly good price to pay. Here's a picture of the bottom, late 18th century example, and they also did similar pots during the early Taijing period, and there's some overlap there, but it's a good early one. It was estimated at 800 to 1,000 euros. And if there was a reserve on this, it was very modest. And somebody picked it up for 400 euros. And I don't think the estimate was crazy because it's a very attractive pattern, very attractive plate. And then on to this, Chinese Ivory. Nice looking Peking ivory card case. This is a really, really fine Cantonese example. It was on Katowiki. Absolutely great carving on this. I think this was Katowiki. I'm pretty sure. I want to double check. Yeah, it was Katowiki. But an absolutely great example. They dated it as late 19th century. It wasn't. This is Indian ivory, Indian elephant ivory. It has that yellowish warm tone to it. But the details of the carving on this are absolutely superb. absolutely superb. This is about as good as Chinese ivory carving gets. An absolutely great example. The depth of the carving and everything was just really terrific. And I think 500 euros was a steal for this. Whoever got it, bless you. This was a great, great piece of ivory. And maybe people have it in their heads that, oh, ivory, card cases only bring this much money. Well, there is sort of an average price range. But when you get into an example that's this well done, all around, just an absolutely great example. 500 euros was a bargain, an absolute bargain. All right, and there was another ivory that's coming up here. Let's see here. We'll get to it in a minute. It was over on eBay. It's a good one, too, and it brought more money, but it wasn't as good as this one, in my opinion. All right, at any rate, the other thing that was sold on there was this very nice mid-Edo period, it was probably circa 1800, a little before, portable shrine. It was a nice one. As I recall, it was a nice size, too. Yeah, 50 centimeters tall, so it was about 18 inches tall. This or almost 20 inches tall. It was a good size one, and it went for 1,200 euros, which I think was a perfectly reasonable buy. This was a big shrine, and it was beautifully done. The lacquer looked to be in good shape. The bodhisattva was in nice condition. It was sort of done in the Kamakura period style. But very, very nicely done. Good-looking base on it. Had some inscribed stuff on the bottom. But the exterior lacquer, the gilt lacquer on the exterior of the case, had worn down to that very nice, warm tone. I want to get back to that. I want to show this. These cases, over time, when they lacquered them, developed this very nice, warm color to them, the gold. And I love that texture. I just love it. It's not too shiny. A nice indication of age, at any rate. And I like the little upturned corners on the roof. Beautifully done with metal mounts. And somebody picked it up for 1,200 euros. That was a great buy. That was also a very good buy when you consider how much is there. It's just a good thing. And then the other thing that sold that was, I think, a very reasonable buy on Katawiki as well was this a very nice Swato enamel decorated charger. It was about 38 centimeters, around 15 inches in diameter. Beautifully done. Had a frit here on the edge, which is really common on these plates. But this is a fairly desirable type given this palette. And the red seals, often you'll see these plates, and these red square seals running around the outside are often sort of very worn down because the red, I think, was not that stable on overglazed enamels in these pieces, and they just tend to wear away quickly. In the center of the plate, the blue enamel showed very, very little wear, which was a common thing on these because these plates were used almost every day. But this was a nice Swato example. Here's a picture of the back, all gnarly the way they often are, but not as bad as some. Sometimes you see them, they've got clumps of sand in here. It looks like somebody dragged the thing through a beach. This one looked pretty good, that sort of rusticated white glaze on the back. A nice piece, 700 euros. That's it ended up selling for sort of half its mid-range estimate. The estimate didn't seem unreasonable because we have seen these sell in the $1,200 to $1,500 range a number of times in this color palette. Somebody picked it up for 700 euros, which I think was a very, very good buy. All right, and then hopping over to eBay, this was the other card case I told you about. Very nicely done card case. The figures are done in a larger scale. The carving is deep. The quality is good. But the minor quality isn't quite as good as the one we just looked at. Let's see if we can just pop back to it very quickly. Is it this one? Hold on. Sorry, folks. There it is. If you compare the two... you'll see what I'm talking about here. We'll go back and side by side them for a second. There. This is the Katawiki example that just sold, and this is the eBay example that just sold. And as you can see, there's nothing wrong with this, and this sold for a good price, and it sold for a well-deserved price. But it is a different type of quality than that. This is just absolutely superb, and this is absolutely very good. There is a difference, okay? And this one sold for $810. There was a seller in France that had this, and it went for $810, and the other one went for 500 euros, which is converted into dollars is less. So, I think the Katawiki example was a from a for dollar a bit better buy because it went for I thought that thing sort of sold probably for $1,200 or $1,500. It was a great card case. But with the problem with elephant ivory and so forth these days, that's what happens. Anyway, and then onto this, that monochrome sung-looking thing. It was late, it was Guangdong ware, but I thought it was lovely, and apparently a lot of people did. It ended up selling for $660 for a piece of sort of Jun type. It was not terribly big. It was 5 or 6 inches tall, but just a very rustic, very nice-looking example. And I love the base on it, and I love the color. And apparently a number of people liked it. It got 37 bids and did just fine in the end. All right, and then over here for this. This was terrific. Kangxi dish done in the Ming style with a Chenhua mark. But the dragon on this was absolutely wonderful. Deep cobalt blue. The blue on this was outstanding. The quality of the cobalt. This very, very rich, deep cobalt running all down through it. The scales were meticulously done. If you bothered to look at it, you'll notice that they're outlined in white and then shaded in a dark blue and so forth. This was a really nice example. Here's a picture of the foot rim. Typical Kangxi period foot rim. Nicely trimmed, knife cut and all that. And then you have that sort of widely spaced Chenhua mark on the bottom. But great looking bowl. Had a couple of little tiny rim frits. Nothing to worry about. And a lot of people loved this piece. It ended up selling for $2,712, which I think was worth it. This was a very nice and very interesting bowl. And as I said, done in the Ming style, but done probably in the Kangxi period in the late 1600s. Excellent quality. And then over here to this. This was listed as Qinlong. This was Libary had this up. And I think this was probably a Kangxi teapot. But at any rate, it did fine. It brought $669. It was a beautiful example. Had this sort of runny cobalt decoration of the mountains and so forth. He listed as Qinlong. I think it might be a little older than that, just based on what I can see here. But a lovely teapot no matter what, and $669. And then over to this. This, I think, somebody got a great buy. I had mentioned this a couple times. It is a Kangxi teapot with the red-headed crane pattern in different formations going around the outside of it. Elegantly done, nice use of negative space, very well potted. The pot has a very nice rounded body with a good-looking spout right up to the height, the edge of the rim. You notice they line up just beautifully right here. A very nice little teapot, very symmetrical. And somebody picked this up for $398. And I had a couple of inquiries. I think I said in the video last week, if you can buy this teapot for under $400, you got a heck of a good buy. And it sold for just a hair under the 400. So somebody got a great buy, I think. But that was a nice teapot, and it wouldn't have surprised me to see this thing go for $600 or $800. But I think maybe the holidays, people are sort of taking it easy. I'm not sure. And then on to this, the Kangxi period shaped rim figural dish. This was a nice one, too. It had good deep colors, very good definition of the figures, the way they were done, not blurry at all. The shading was quite attractive. And then you have this nice outer rim with these lotus leaves going around the exterior. And on the back, you have the ribbon deal and that ivory-colored Kangxi foot. Beautifully done. I didn't see any chips out of it. Often these Kangxi feet have little chips out of them. And that one didn't have any. And somebody paid $1,200 for it, or about 888 pounds, which is fine. This was a nice plate. And this was also from Libary. And what size was this? I think it was like 10 inches, right? Yeah, 10 inches in diameter. So it wasn't a saucer. It was a good-sized dish. Nice-looking plate. And then somebody got a good buy on this. It was a Li period shallow bowl or plate, but it was in excellent condition from what I remember, I think. I think this was the one that was in beautiful condition. They said it appears to have maybe an old repair somewhere. Oh, this is the one I looked at. I couldn't find the repair that he was talking about. So I'm not sure if it wasn't a kiln flaw or what it was. But at any rate, it went for $260, which is a perfectly respectable buy if you're a collector. Nice thing to own. And now over to what's coming up. A few things closed. We don't have all the stuff on that's going to be on the newsletter in this coming week yet because I haven't actually done it yet. But I'll get to it, I promise. But one of the things that's on here, and this is from the Shangri-La guys, the ceramics and collectibles sellers, is this very handsome Edo period, 17th century Japanese kokutani. They call it kokutani a Maori dish. They must have looked it up and found out who attributed to. But a beautiful, beautiful plate. I love the use of colored enamels around the outside, and then the simple cobalt blue interior with somebody holding out a scroll, educating someone here. Just a lovely example. And it's only up to $34. It closes Sunday. If you're a Japanese collector, you want to check this plate out. They have some other good Japanese things up too. It's from the Arita province, and I think that is a dandy buy. And $200 or $300 would be fine for that. That's a good looking dish. And then over here to this, they also have up this very nice, and this was a Charger, 39 centimeter dragon dish. I love it, and I love the way. I thought this was great. It's almost like the outer rim it's almost like a photograph where the outer rim is almost a little bit out of focus, then it comes into sharper focus in the middle, and it's just because of the way the cobalt sort of blurred a bit on the rim, because it pitches at an angle when it's done, and there's no border decoration or anything. It's just this beautiful tiger coming up through the bamboo trees. Absolutely wonderful. It's up to $113, and if you collect early Japanese Arita, you want to look at this. It's an 18th century dish, I'm pretty sure. They said 17th or 18th. I think it's probably more likely was done around 1720 to 1760, somewhere in there. But a beautiful example. Dating these is hard. I'm not being critical, because dating Japanese porcelain, it can be notoriously difficult because they didn't change the way they did things too rapidly at times, and you have to go by little tiny differences. All right, and then on to this. This is Welcome All Friends. They sort of put up a big end of the year auction sale. Some of their opening bid prices, they're not crazy. They're a little stiff, but not crazy. And you have things like this. It closes Sunday. A perfectly nice Wan Li period, 17th century loop handle, porcelain handle teapot, and it's got this sort of quick penciling outlining that they began doing during the Wan Li period, and then right up into the Kangxi period. You might want to check that out. There's a bunch of things on there. They will remain on there until they close out. They get nice things. So check that out. And this is something that's on Catawiki that caught my eye, and I wanted to mention it. I was going through it over the weekend. It closes tomorrow on Friday. So if you're a Chinese bronze buyer, check this out. They have it listed as a 19th century bronze. All right, I don't think it is. I think it's a late Ming bronze. I think this is a really nice bronze water dropper. Absolutely great. If you're a scholars collector buyer, it's got a bat on it, birds. I think this is wonderful. It's either late Ming or very early Qing. I do not think this is a 19th century bronze at all. Not at all. I just love it. I think it's a great thing. And right now, I think because they gave it sort of a later dating estimate, and some people might have trouble with, spotting what it is. They hear the date, and that's what they stick with. It's at 27 euros. All right, this is a great thing. This is a really good thing. And if it spikes at the end to $600 or $800, I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised. Not in the least bit surprised, and maybe more. It's a good bronze. If you're a bronze collector, you should look at this water dropper. It's on Catawiki. It's on the newsletter page. It's a good thing. And I think the same seller has this up also. This is Ming. This nice Hu form vase. It's up to 360 euros. And it closes. I think it'll do just fine at the end. Okay, and there we go. That's it for the week. Have a wonderful Christmas tomorrow, and enjoy your family. Take care of people. Reach out to them. Those that you can't see, make a home video on your phone. Text it to them. Do whatever you can to make it a good Christmas for those who can't be with you. And as I said, we're working on the new website. We're going to start the videos. It's coming along just fine, and it'll be available for everybody to use within the next 2 weeks or so. And we're very pleased about that. We'll let everybody know if you are a subscriber to the newsletter page. All the newsletter subscribers will get a blast from our weekly email account to let them know. So if you want to be made notified of things, sign up for the newsletter email, because that's how we're going to probably do most of the communicating with people about the new site. And check out the new blog we did on Chinese art. And have a wonderful holiday. And the newsletter page will be updated on Saturday. And we'll probably do a quick update if we need to for the global member pages too, because I think there's a sale ending today or tomorrow. And there's some other things going on, and we want to bring everybody up to speed. All right. Have a wonderful holiday. And I'll be back next week. Bye-bye.